Today's agenda, we are talking about recessions, and I got a lot to fit in a little bit of time, so listen close and listen fast. I've got a layout of the last 42 years of recessions that we've hit, and you probably didn't even notice that some of these went by. So let's start with 1980, because there is a specific part in here that I want to really highlight on for anybody looking to get into real estate and looking to the future and what that holds for us. So 1980, we had 6 months on the money sector side. And the way I say money sector side is that typically when we have a recession, it'll hit one side of the fence or the other. So we got the money sector side and we've got the real estate sector side. Occasionally, both of those will fall out at once. We saw this in 1981 to 1982. There's a little bit of lull in both markets. They both had to correct at the same time, thus giving us the year and 4 month recovery period as opposed to the 6 to 8 month that we would typically see with a normal correction. Just like where we see here in the early 90s, early 2000s, we got 8 months there to correct on the money market sector. And it did. It corrected for a little bit. And the only reason that we have recessions is because we need to slow down our consumerism at points. As we make our way up our economy, our gradually increasing economy, we have to pull it back at points because it will continue to accelerate exponentially until it implodes. So we need to enable these recessions to pull back on consumerism to bring back a normal GDP ratio. I really want to touch on the GR. This is the Great Recession, 2007 to 2009. Everybody remembers this as the big financial debacle. Might not be as bad as you actually remember. We had a year and 6 months worth of this recession. It hit both the money sector and the real estate sector, and that's why I had a longer recovery period there. But I want people to know that you're getting into real estate for a long-term investment for retirement potential. If you're a short-term investor, you don't need this information. You already know what you're doing. But if you're looking to get your first home, you're in the biggest generation coming up on home buying at an average age of 33 if you're a millennial like me. We're out here starting to buy property. We're starting to get into the market. And if you're a little worried about what that looks like for you, or you're concerned about the chatter out there about the looming recession or the possible bubble that we're in, which we all disagree with, anybody who's in the industry will tell you otherwise. But we did have something good, some good news that comes from the Great Recession. They introduced the Frank-Dodd Act. This put programs in place against the mortgage lenders out here and the financial institutions lending us money to basically put a stop to them taking advantage of you and me, the consumer. So looking forward, we're not in the area of coming across another one of these great recessions thanks to the Frank-Dodd Act. So we're going to see small corrections along the way like we typically see with our 8 month and 6 month corrections, like we saw when COVID hit. That was a little more of a forced situation, but it still brought down consumerism and put us back on track to continue to trend upward at a normal pace. And then we got 2022 down here. We're heading for a recession again, and this is in the money market sector. Again, we're not going to see it in real estate because of our supply and demand. This is sort of national, but especially here in Denver, we are under the implications that there's not enough housing for people that are going to want to buy. And if you're part of the millennial group like myself, there's going to be a ton of us hitting the age when we're looking to start buying homes, and the inventory is not there for us to have. So what does this all break down to? It's a lot of information, but the general idea that I'm trying to convey is that it doesn't really matter when you're trying to get into the market. So let's look at the GR. We got the Great Recession there. If you were to buy just before the Great Recession, a little bit different. Let's put it into today's terms. Let's say you were to buy a home today. You're going to be on a 30-year fixed interest product. Market crashes tomorrow. You are not going to change your monthly payment. Nothing's going to change. The only difference is that you may have to ride out a couple of years to break even on your appreciation. But at the same point, you've got a roof over your head. Your rent isn't increasing, which it will through the recessions because we're going to see inflation and landlords are running a business. So if you were to buy today, you've got a year and 6 months, and then we're starting to look back at appreciation. But the caveat of this is that the feds are not going to start incentivizing people to get back into the market until we have a solid upward trend of at least 2 years. So by this time you're 2 years in, we have 6 months worth of possible appreciation that people are missing out on. So it's better to purchase property when you're ready, willing, and able. You probably hear this from a lot of realtors, and they may not explain it well enough, but this is what we truly believe, and it's for a specific reason, because those of us out here that are buying property, that are investing right now, and here talking to a lot of other investors that are investing right now, we see the signs that it's a strong opportunity for buyers. And we know this historically through recessions. That's when a lot of people make their wealth. If you have any questions, reach out. It's an in-depth topic, but I'd love to sit down and maybe do a discovery session about what you're trying to achieve and see what we can do to help. We'll see you next time.